Just talk about one of the things that he's prescribing to cut. He wants to get rid of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Here's what it's done for the folks at home. It's limited overdraft fees at banks. It's limited credit card late fees. It's made it easier for you to switch banks. It's removed medical debt from people's credit reports so that you can actually get rent after you've been sick. It's gone after banks who've taken advantage of people.
Oh, that's gonna hurt!
Okay, first of all, he's absolutely right, and we'll dissect that in a minute. But if there's one thing we know about Donald Trump is that, yeah, kids aren't really his thing. I mean, he doesn't even like his own. So between Elon bringing his kid into the Oval Office and the fact that Times Magazine even questioned whether it is his office or not, you can tell he's not too happy.
If there's not a good feedback loop from the people to the government, and if you have rule of the bureaucrat, if the bureaucracy is in charge, and then what meaning does democracy actually have?
Today, Elon held a presser in his office, the Oval Office, alongside Donald Trump, and he brought his son. Now, can we just take a quick moment to discuss something here? Imagine for a second, a female politician or prominent figure stood in the Oval Office addressing the press on matters of national security, their own conflict of interest, etc., and just had her wee kid with her. I mean, interrupting the whole time. The press would have an absolute field day.
Democracy. This may seem like, well, aren't we in a democracy? Well, if you don't have a feedback loop, okay, X, we would have to, if you sorry. I tell you, gravitas can be difficult sometimes. If there's not a good feedback.
But anyway, when he did get around to answering questions, they were as vague and ominous as his co-presidents.
If you have received billions of dollars in contracts from the Pentagon, and the president's directing you to look into the Department of Defense, is that a conflict of interest?
Are going to do at the president's request.
Does that present a conflict of interest for you?
No, because you'd have to look at the individual contract and say, first of all, I'm not the one, filing the contract. It's people at SpaceX or someone who will be putting for the contract. And I'd like to say, if you see any contract where where it was awarded to SpaceX and it wasn't by far the best value for money for the taxpayer, let me know.
Mr. Musk, you said on X that an example of the fraud that you have cited was $50 million of condoms was sent to Gaza. But after fact-check this, apparently Gaza in Mozambique, and the program was to protect them against HIV. So can you correct the statements? It wasn't sent to Hamas, actually. It was sent to Mozambique, which makes sense why condoms was sent there. Yeah. And how can we make sure that all the statements that you said were correct, so we can trust what you say?
Well, first of all, some of the things that I say will be incorrect.
And in response to this, Fox News guest host Richard Fowler used his time to call out the fact that Donald Trump is in fact making life harder and in turn more expensive for the American people by giving Elon free rein to gut the CFPB.
Well, no, but wait a second. But let's just talk about one of the things that he's prescribing to cut. He wants to get rid of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Here's what it's done for the folks at home. It's limited overdraft fees at banks. It's limited credit card late fees. It's made it easier for you to switch banks. It's removed medical debt from people's credit reports so that you can actually get rent after you've been sick. It's gone after banks who've taken advantage of people.
What's your argument?
My argument here is these are things that have protected the American people every day, and Elon wants to get rid of them because it doesn't work for millionaires and billionaires. No, they did not.
Yes,
they did not vote to get.
Yes, they did.
I'm sure.
Where were you on November 5th?
Donald Trump did not go to the American people and says, "I want to raise your overdraft fees." Did he? No, I don't think so.
They made it clear what Doge was when he was running for president. He did not go to the American people and says, "I want to raise the amount you pay on late fees." Actually, the opposite of that. He said, "I'm going to cap late fees." That's not what's happening when you get rid of the Consumer Protection Bureau. You're right; it is too late. So hopefully, American people wake up to see what's happening.
You know what? Now, the CFPB is the main U.S. agency tasked with overseeing the financial products and services used by everyday Americans, from credit cards to checking accounts to home loans. And it's fast become Trump's latest target in his effort to just remake the federal government. And with this, they basically closed shop on the CFPB and gained access to their internal computer systems and deleted its public-facing social media accounts.
For every person who wants to buy a home without getting scammed, this fight is your fight. For every family that doesn't want to get put out on the street in an illegal foreclosure, this is your fight. For every student who wants to borrow money to go to school without getting defrauded, this is your fight. For every member of our military who doesn't want to get trapped by some sleazy payday lender. Say it with me. This is your fight. For every person who borrows money to buy a car and doesn't want to get trapped in the fine print, this is your fight. For every American.
But behind the smoke and mirrors of these nothing answers, there are real life consequences for the American people. Yeah, even the people who allegedly voted for Trump to bring down prices and make life more affordable. How's that going so far?
The American public hasn't yet seen that the tomato prices are going up because of the potential for Mexican tariffs on Mexico, products from Mexico. Again, I talked about the beer brewer who is going to have to raise the price of their beer because of the tariffs that the president is putting on. These are all things that are either here or they're coming shortly. And I can see them coming. And I know what the impact will be. People have been promised something by this Trump administration that he is not delivering. They've been promised lower prices. They've been promised lower grocery prices. They've been promised lower gas prices. They've been promised more affordability. And that is precisely the opposite of what's happening. Look at egg prices. And if you want to blame that on the avian flu, fine. But look, he's tearing apart the departments of government that protect us from the avian flu. So prices are going up under this president.
Are we excited about credit card fees coming back? Overdraft fees? Having your medical debt on credit reports?
I'm not going to say good morning because it's not a good morning. President Trump has shut down the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, the CFPB, an agency that does only one thing: make sure we have a fair economy. How could anybody be against that? And the CFPB works. In its 10 plus years of existence, it's returned nearly $20 billion to consumers in real checks, canceled debt, monetary relief. And it's sought and received $5 billion in civil monetary penalties. This is an agency that helps businesses who play by the rules not get disadvantaged by those who cheat. And it helps consumers do business by making sure that we're not going to get scammed when we go to buy a house or take out a student loan. President Trump's arguments is completely specious here. He seems to be suggesting that the CFPB is somehow out of control. What a bunch of bullshit. In fact, it's in 2021 to 2024, years where Democrats were in charge under President Biden, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau filed 20 to 30 enforcement actions a year. And each of those only came after careful investigation and efforts to try to get the company to just follow the law. Look, this one's personal for me. I got my start in public service trying to make sure that everybody has a fair shot in our economy. And the reason President Trump is taking executive aim at the CFPB is because he knows there's no chance that any elected official, Democrat or Republican, would want to vote to do something that hurts every single American, consumers.
Now, all this comes in the wake of another Midas Mighty favorite, Jessica Tarlov, pointing out, again, amidst the hyperbole she has to speak over, that we are effectively in a constitutional crisis when Musk has this level of involvement.
What's Elon Musk going to do with Social Security numbers or anything else?
Well, I think there are two issues at play. The constitutional crisis here is that Congress has been subverted. So these are congressionally appropriated dollars. And we've seen this over and over again in the federal judges that have ruled on this. They're not saying that there aren't programs that don't deserve to be axed. They're saying that these aren't dollars that the executive can decide what to do with. There's a process to go through. On the accountability front, yeah, we have a government accountability office. We also have a big spending database where you can go in and you see where the dollars are going, and they should have conversations about programs that have got to go. But Elon Musk, he's not a forensic accountant. He's a scientist and one of the most brilliant people to have ever lived, for sure. But he has a number of minions who have not passed the same level of security checks that they should have in order to have access to that information. And I don't know what they're going to do with your social security number or what they're going to do with Head Start or Medicaid or Medicare or anything else that they have access to. But the point is that they shouldn't. And you see that, like the big one from over the weekend was the freeze on the NIH spending. So I understand that there might be some overhead costs, the quote unquote indirect costs that you think are too high. But going to them and saying that indirect costs have to come down to 15% would completely hobble American innovation.
But without Elon Musk, we wouldn't know of any of this stuff. Money going for transgenders.
But I'm not talking about, I just said the NIH. I said the future of cancer research. For every dollar that the NIH grants out, you get $2.46 back, and they generate $93 billion a year.
Trump
and then
just
you have
brought in $500 million.
No, well, first of all, Elon Musk even said that isn't real money.
Oh, it isn't?
Well, Elon Musk said it himself. He replied to the tweet. But Katie Britt, the senator from Alabama, had to go out there and say, no, don't take our NIH dollars.
Okay.
And after today's presser, it doesn't exactly clear up the whole who's in charge thing.
So I tell you, gravitas can be difficult sometimes. If
Can't get enough Meidas? Check out the Meidas Plus Substack for ad-free articles, reports, podcasts, daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, and more. Sign up for free now at MeidasPlus.com.